Okay, I'm full on feeling like a squirrel getting ready for winter. We ordered our bulk meat and our freezers are lower this time around. I'm feeling like as my children get older, we're emptying the freezers faster, which is fine and completely normal. So since we're kind of low on our freezers, I'm trying to get through some of this stuff and pull it out and process it. A lot of the meat I like to pre-cook, and then I have protein ready and able to use in quick meals. I also have some bones that I pulled out so I can make some stock because we're getting into soup season. And then I know I have about 15 more pounds of beef fat that I want to make into tallow. I'm not ready to get that out, but I want to get that done before our new bulk meat comes in, so I have that space cleared out. But I just brought a big tote of meat in, and I like to take containers into my fridge and just separate the meat by the type. That way there's no like cross-contamination, even though it's mostly raw meat. I pulled out a ham, and I think I'm just going to make ham and potato soup and pork chops. My children don't like pork chops as is, but my husband found a really good way to brine the pork chops. And then I'm actually probably gonna pound these down and make them into breaded, breaded pork tenderloin sandwiches. So I got those out, so they'll be ready by this weekend. I got out salmon so I can eat just with breakfast. One of my children cannot have fish, so that he won't eat that. And then I got out some soup bones, like I said. I roast these in the oven before I make a big batch of broth. I also got out ribeye steaks, and then I got some chicken. These ones I think I'm gonna throw in some cool water to defrost for tonight for dinner. And then I can also make some chicken stock from that.
There are times, even after cooking for so many years, I still mess up. And one of those was a homemade Nutella. I forgot to blend the nuts up first into like a peanut butter consistency before adding the cocoa powder and the other things in the ingredients. And so when I blended it up all together, it came out into this grainy texture. Not the best. So I'm trying to make a brownie recipe, which I'm trying a new recipe today because I actually don't have a really tried and true brownie recipe. So this one was a new for me, but my thought process was if I did brownies, I could put chunks of Nutella in there and bake it, and then it'll be a little ooey gooey. It came out, it was edible, it was good, not a favorite, but it just goes to show you trying to make the best of what you have and not letting food go to waste, even though creative ways to use the food and the recipes that you make that don't always turn out, or sometimes just choking them down. We had just got our first frost warning and snow warning, so I am out in the garden this next couple days trying to harvest every little bit that I can to make the most out of my garden. I've had some really big wins this year, like growing sweet potatoes in the bags and growing some raspberries. I've had some big fails about dealing with vine borers. All of my squash have gotten ruined even though I planted 3 times. My tomatoes did not do the best back here even though it was fresh soil. So a lot of learning from this year, but I had little tidbits here and there that I wanted to go ahead and pick and not waste before the really fall reset. There's not a lot in the garden left, but there's a little here and there that I can try to find something to do. Lots of greens, some last minute pesto I'll make, and tomatoes are still coming in even though it's October. A few peppers and some herbs. So we don't want this to go to waste. I ran all these greens through my strainer and I soaked them in some salt water because I had seen some green caterpillars, And so I ended up having to wash these things a few times, and I'm making sure that I don't see any more green caterpillars. And then I hand went through the greens as far as the spinach and chard, rainbow chard and things like that. I actually dried them up and put them straight into a gallon bag. Once it freezes, you can basically just crumble up that, and that'll go into soups this winter. I made a small batch of pesto. The carrots we ate fresh. There's some herbs that our bunny rabbit can eat. Peppers got chopped up for taco nights in the future. And then I still had a lot of green onions, and chives really came back this fall once the weather cooled down. I do have a bunch of tomatoes that are sitting getting ripened, and then they went into a freezer bag. And one day this winter I will make a batch of spaghetti sauce from all of the tomatoes that I froze again. And then I still have some carrots and things from the garden that I will pull out to basically eat fresh, or as the week goes on, if I can cover them during winter. But overall, this was a pretty decent garden year. Lots of learning, lots of note taking for next year.
Like normal, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I got a good head start. So for the next couple days, I'll finish processing stuff from the garden. But now since the little boy is down, I made a batch of granola, the dry ingredients, and then I'll run the blender after he wakes up, which I have to blend up some nuts and dates and then make some granola. That was the kids' request for snacks, and they like coming in and just, munching on it on top of, they like eating that granola just as like crackers or little cookies. So I break it up into bigger chunks so they can just eat it that way. And now I am starting some pizza dough. We're just gonna have some simple pizza, homemade pizza for dinner. I have some pepperonis and cheese and some olives and some pepperoncinis I'll pick from the garden and use that on our pizza tonight. Because anytime I'm doing a kitchen day, I like something super easy for dinner. Sometimes I just put it in, I slow roast a roast in the oven. I've just gotten back into pulling down my crock pot. I feel like it's like kind of a lost tool because I use my Instant Pot so much. And I have some broth going in the Instant Pot. But so that way I can keep on these small kitchen tasks if I have dinner already thought about, and it's not going to take me a long time when it comes to dinner, because usually when I'm in the kitchen I never know how much time I have, or I'm doing a lot of things and I don't want to spend extra amount of time with dinner. So if you can relate, I get you. So I'll just mix this up and it'll rise for the next 2 hours, and then I can roll out some dough, and I can usually call one of the children in to help put the toppings on if I get busy with the little guy, if he's cranky when he wakes up from his nap and needs mom.
Winter is right around the corner. School is in full session. The outside work is mostly wrapped up for the summer, and it's time to turn our attention to the inside. There's lots of clothes to be changed out, cleaning to do, couches, cushions to wash, just a season of transition. And it's one of those things you kind of dread, but once you get going and get things done, you feel so much better. And so I took the last couple weeks trying to focus on a couple big jobs to get done, and we got the couch cushions rearranged and cleaned. That was a big item on my list that I dread doing, but it always feels good once it's done. And it was also one of those things that I realized I wanted to get done before I realized we were hosting Thanksgiving, which I'm so excited about because it's been over 5 years and I really enjoy Thanksgiving. I'm glad I got that done because it means just less for upcoming to-do lists when you're actually having guests over. But one of my biggest tips is when you look around your house, trying to just tackle one section at a time. And although these are big and kind of almost annoying to have to realize you have to take all the couch cushions off to wash, it is so nice to get that done. I almost don't think how much it hangs over your head when you know it's on your to-do list, but just getting it done is kind of like breathing again in a way. One tip I do have for if you're hosting or having people over is to just step back and think, like, what are your triggers? When you look around your house and you start feeling like your house is dirty or cluttered, what is it that triggers it? For me, it's my kitchen counters and my kitchen sink being full. So if I clear that up, it kind of relaxes me. For my husband, it's our bathroom. Our bathroom tile actually is white tile, and with everyone walking in and out all day long, it gets dirty and it needs cleaned every single day, honestly. But if he sees that and like mom's hair's on the floor because of my shower and kids' bath toys are scattered everywhere, that's kind of his trigger. If I have that cleaned up, it kind of de-stresses him. So if you're thinking about people coming over and wondering what can I do to make me feel good, think about the stressors that make you feel bad about your home. And it might not be that your house is dirty. It just might be those one or two things. If you get that done, you just feel a little bit more relaxed.